Hello, this is a new week and a new unit folder, so let's jump right in. If you go to course content and click on the top unit folder, Unit 4, this is our last one, guys. We're nearing the end, so hang in there. If you see at the top of the list, there is our lineup for the week, and we're going to be covering two different chapters. So make sure you read chapter 9. Try to absorb all of the information as possible, and then look at the PowerPoint notes as a refresher. I'd like to show you one of the stages in relationships that this chapter is talking about with an example of a film. This is from Hitch. Now, please don't think that I am obsessed with Will Smith. It just happens to be that a couple of his movies show some great concepts for what we're talking about. This movie came out, I think, in the 90s. And in it, this guy played by Will Smith, his name is Hitch, and he is a relationship consultant. So it goes along with our chapter, right? And so he has made a living learning how to help men to learn how to communicate with women and get dates. And so he's very observant. And I want to show you how he goes about initiating contact with this woman, played by Ava Mendez. And this scene also shows you a very poor example of how to initiate contact with a woman.
She's some kind of newspaper columnist. Comes in there once in a while. Great tip. What's her drink? Usually beer. Tonight, Grey Goose Martini, dirty. Hi. I noticed your glass was getting a little low, so I took the liberty of bringing you another apple martini.
Thank you.
And I couldn't help but notice you look a lot like my
Assumptions.
ex-girlfriend.
What's your name?
They call me Chip.
You can't get him to stop?
That was funny.
Listen, Chip, I understand the courage it takes to walk across the room and try to generate a relationship out of thin air. So don't take the following personally.
You have fantastic eyes.
Listening.
Thanks. Try to listen. But this is no reflection on you. I'm just not interested. But thank you for the compliment of coming over.
You're welcome. So do you like Cuban food?
Chip, seriously, that was not code word. I wish you'd try harder.
Are you always so shut down and afraid that the right man might make you feel like a natural woman? Sorry I'm late, honey. I couldn't get a cab. How was the meeting?
Oh, well, there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. Nice to meet you, Chip.
You too. Now, on the one hand, it is very difficult for a man to even speak to someone that looks like you. But on the other hand, should that be your problem?
So life's kind of hard all around.
Well, not if you pay attention. I mean, you're sending all the right signals. No earrings, heels under 2 inches, your hair is pulled back, you're wearing reading glasses with no book, drinking a Grey Goose Martini, which means you had a hell of a week and a beer just wouldn't do it. And if that wasn't clear enough, there's always the fuck off that you have stamped on your forehead. Because who's going to believe that there's a man out there that could sit down beside a woman he doesn't know and genuinely be interested in who she is, what she does, without his own agenda?
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what that would look like. So what would a guy like that say?
Well, he'd say, my name is Alex Hitchens and I'm a consultant. But she wouldn't be interested in that because she'd probably be just counting the seconds until he left.
Thinking he was like every other guy.
Which life experience has taught her is a virtual certainty. But then he'd ask her name and what she did for a living. And she might blow him off. Or she might say,
I'm Sarah Milas. I run the gossip column at the Standard. And then he'd ask all these penetrating questions about it because he was sincerely, if atypically, interested.
no,
No.
he'd be interested. But he'd see that there was no way he could possibly make her realize that he was for real.
he could be funny and charming and refreshingly original.
Wouldn't help.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Not really. They both probably go on to lead the lives they were headed toward. My guess is they do just fine. It's a pleasure to have met you, Sarah Milas.
Great Goose Martini from the gentleman who just left.
Okay, so that is an example of initiating. So think about how you initiate relationships as you are going into a relationship of any kind, a roommate, someone you are interested in romantically. You know, how does all of that happen? Maybe if you are out someplace, you indicate you are interested with someone through prolonged eye contact, for example. Think about the initiating stage. This is a stage is a great an example of what we're talking about here. And then there are two different relationship assignments that I would like for you to do. The relationships discussion forum is a clip from a film called Best in Show. It's kind of a mockumentary. It's lots of fun. I want you to look for the factors of attraction that the book talks about: similarity, proximity, rewards, competency. This is a post-first forum, so you'll have to be able to gather your own thoughts and make your own post before you can see that of others and respond to them. Remember, if you respond earlier, it helps your peers out because people are looking to respond to others earlier in the week than Wednesday. If you put off you doing your initial post until 9:30, you're putting each other in a bind. Then the relationships journal, you'll have to click on the relationships journal in order to see the link for the short video for you to watch. John Gottman has put together what he considers to be some guidelines in relationships. So I want you to think about that a little bit. And then you're going to read chapter 8, which is all about emotion. So if you are unfamiliar with Jimmy Kimmel's challenge to parents, where he asks them to play a trick on their children so that you can catch their reactions on video. And so he has these people pretend that they have eaten their children's Halloween candy. And he talks about how this is sometimes the first time that a child is able to earn anything through their work, so to speak, right? And so the book talks about how emotions are chemical reactions in our bodies, and we respond to different things in a different way chemically. And so the more that we can stop and isolate and think about, this is where this emotion started. It started in my stomach, and that's where I started to feel this emotion. Or I started feeling this emotion first in my chest and I felt myself go hot. You know, whatever it is, if you can pinpoint those things and focus, you are going to be better able to control your emotions, because of course, showing a lot of emotion in every situation is not always appropriate. And so the book talks about how sometimes at work we are not going to be very expressive with our emotions because that might not be appropriate. But having emotions and working through emotions is a good thing, but we have to make sure that our emotions don't control us, that we are in control, that we understand emotions are chemical reactions in our bodies so that we can respond in a better, more effective, communicative way with those people that we want to maintain and grow relationships with. Now, the book also talks about how we sometimes will emulate the emotions of people around us. For example, if you have ever walked up to a group of people who are all laughing because someone said a joke, chances are you started smiling and maybe even laughing even though you didn't hear the joke, right? So I want you to watch this as an example of expressing emotions. I'm starting this video in a little bit because this little girl, I just adore her. Her control of her emotions is pretty astute for such a young lady. And then as we work through this video, I want you to see how there are a set of two little boys, and one is emulating the emotions of the other. He is learning how to express emotions by watching his brother react. So take a look at this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You want to go finish your cereal?
Yes, please.
All right, go finish your cereal.
Bless her.
Daddy ate it all.
And your mom ate all of
Her emotion was in her body. This is the guy.
it. We're really sorry.
See how he's
But
mocking
we
him?
actually ate all your candy.
So he is responding and looking at his dad. He's saying, okay, wait a second. Maybe this isn't the right emotional response to have.
Mom, did you eat all of it? Don't tell me you ate all of it.
You know that we should cut down on sweets anyway. I want to help you eat more healthy.
Oh, it's me. You can eat your healthy stuff because you're fat.
And of course, there's retaliation that happens sometimes as well. Okay, so then you're going to do a discussion forum post on emotion. If you remember the 1980s, sometimes in that decade, the Cars song Emotion in Motion. I want you to be thinking about your emotions this week. So you might want to peruse these discussion forum and journal entries ahead of time so that you can be thinking about your emotions. Sometimes we don't give our positive emotions enough credence. We focus on the negative. For example, if I have a bad experience in one day, just one bad experience, and then I have 5 positive experiences, much of the time, what do I dwell on? The negative one, right? And so I want us to focus on starting to pay more attention to those positive emotions so that we can feel them more often and appreciate them. I have also opened for you the assignment sheet, which will be our culminating project for this unit. Instead of having a unit test and then going right into the final immediately, then we're going to have a paper that's the culminating assignment for this unit before we get to the comprehensive final. So read that assignment sheet, make a decision about what film you want to watch, and then make sure that it's available to you. Try the various different streaming services to see where you might be able to find that. There's a wide range of different films on that list. So the discussion questions in the assignment sheet will be due by May 1st and the paper will be due by May 3rd. But don't put off finding your film and watching it after you read these chapters. Maybe peruse the questions ahead of time, watch the film, take some notes while you're watching, maybe even pause sometimes to take some notes. And it may require that you even rewatch the film again. So that's just a heads up for what's coming so that you can be planning ahead. So those assignment links are already there for you if you want to get that taken care of because you have other big projects coming up over the next couple of weeks. So that's it for this week. It's a lot, so make sure you pace yourselves. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and have a great week.